This video focuses on processing survey lines from the Sentry sidescan data. We'll start by opening up our project and then making sure we have everything in map mode. You can go to drawing mode, sidescan drawing mode, navigation plot mode, so you can see all the individual lines. Next, we're going to create a subgroup. On your left-hand menu side, you can expand the sidescan file, create new subgroup. We'll call this cross lines. This will allow us to put our cross lines into a separate folder so we're not dealing with those while we deal with our main survey lines that go across. So go ahead and select the cross lines, holding the shift key and the down arrow. We can select the first 4 files that are our cross lines. Put those in the folder, and then click the X to unselect them and hide them so we're not dealing with them at the moment. Next, we are going to go ahead and select all of our survey lines for the main survey. Right-click on any of them, and we are going to aggregate or merge all those lines into a single file. This may take a little bit of time based on your CPU or RAM of the computer you are working on. As you see, all the lines have now been merged into a single individual line. We'll select that line, right-click, go to split. In this case, we're going to use the auto split function you're familiar with. Look at the detailed settings. Make sure we have clip out the turn. We'll set the average for 9 ping, maximum length for 30, angle for 50, and stop turn for 0.3. You may have to adjust this a little bit based on your individual data sets, but these settings are pretty well for Sentry data. You can now see we split into multiple lines. Selecting it, you highlight the main line on the screen. And if you look, you now have these corner segments where the AUV made its turn each time. What we wish to do is eliminate the corner segments since they tend to mess up the mosaic. Select the first one, hold your control key down, and then you can select every other one to eliminate the corner segments. Highlighting all of these, we will simply delete these from the project file. Right-click on one of the blue ones, delete selected center file. Yes. Now we have a nice clean set of survey lines without a lot of turns or any information that's going to be adding smears to the sidescan data. And we can start doing our bottoming test. You'll notice that all the lines right now are in normal font. We're going to right-click on one, go ahead and do bottom track. First thing you have to do is adjust the channel control. You want to set it to be port and starboard. Initially, this blue line represents the altitude that you put in from the Sentry attitude data. However, the sidescan actually gets a little bit of a different altitude off the bottom. By selecting port and starboard, we can actually use different values for each channel, which is very helpful when the bottom is uneven. We also want to use our auto tracking. We definitely want to smooth it, and we can play with these settings based on what the individual data sets look like. I tend to like to do a smoother thing, so we'll have a duration of 4 pings for port and 4 pings for starboard. We'll leave the threshold at the default 6, and if you watch this when we hit track it, it adjusts slightly to push the blue lines down just a little bit. Once you've done this once, save and next. You also have the option, if the data is not very easy to see, to do normalization, histogram equalize, or gamma correction to make the data more obvious. The next thing you have to see is that as you bottom track them, these lines will turn bold, indicating they've been through the bottom track process. That line is now adjusted a little bit more. Save and next. And you continue this for all the files. Other times you'll notice that the data appears to be too weak or a little bit too hard and you have weird returns, in which case you can adjust your threshold much further down, try tracking it. That seems to solve this problem, but it hasn't eliminated this one. In this case, we can go to insert points where we can do manual tracking. Right-click with your cursor, draw a small box around it, and it will eliminate its points, creating a straight line between those two segments. Once you finish bottom tracking all the individual lines. You'll notice they're all bold now. The next thing we need to do is determine the usable range of data. First, we'll go ahead and select our measurement tool, come over here and measure the distance between track lines. In this case, it's about 70 meters. Now going to drawing mode, side scan, high resolution, we'll see our full resolution of side scan data. Going back to our measurement tool, you notice we have from nadir up to the edge about 380 meters worth of side scan data. It's a bit of overkill for 70-meter line spacing, and because we're so near the bottom, you're going to be losing the edges. So in this case, we're going to go and isolate one of the lines, pick one at random, go to isolate. We're going to measure the usable range of data. From nadir up to the edge, it looks like we have about 120, 140 meters worth of usable data. Because we have a 70-meter line spacing, we'll probably do the first 120 meters, maybe even the first 100 meters of data for the side scan is what we're interested in. So now we can go ahead, right-click on a line, pick properties or adjust display range. Instead of displaying the full range, we're going to display the first roughly 100 meters. It will adjust these numbers based on the sample rate. Now we want to isolate the outline just to check. Now you can see your data with a 100-meter range to either side. Again, select this line, right-click, open Sonar File Manager. This highlighted line, we want to make sure it's highlighted, and then go Make Like Selected. This will make all the lines that we chose, which in this case will be all of them, we'll choose to modify to match the display range of our highlighted line here, which we've set to 100 meters. You can also have it match all of the sonar settings, the gain settings, and different filters. If you hit OK, it will go through and change our display settings for all of those. Now we want to turn on all of our lines so we can see them again. Turn off our cross lines. And there we have a basic mosaic, also 100-meter range of our side scan. You can still do a lot more to clean this up. However, that will be the next step in the advanced processing. This is the conclusion of this video. Thank you very much.